Alright, the reason I haven't got this car started yet is because I completely failed here the other day, and I'm going to show you why I failed, and I'm going to show you what not to do, because this was a stupid mistake, and out of all the fittings I've ever done and used before, I cannot believe I did this. So I'm going to show you what I did wrong, and if you guys ever do any mechanical oil pressure gauges, please don't do what I did. So I'm going to show you what I did and then what happened. These are very hard to get to. On a small block Chevy, that hole you see right there is where that fitting screws into, and it's either a Cinder or whatever factory, but I've had a mechanical gauge on this thing for 10 years. And that plastic tubing, I figured, well, that's getting old, I might as well replace it and do a copper. And that's what I ran on that LS swap. So I bought some copper tubing, and I checked to make sure that fitting would go on the old fitting, because they were all the same, pretty much, and it did. So I thought, well, okay, well, here's the old plastic, and here's the copper. I ran the copper through the firewall, so I don't have a grommet on there. I pushed it through so I could get this done. Anyway, so I push this fitting down, I screw it down on there. Everything is going as I thought, and next thing I know, I felt like it stripped, and I thought, what is going on? I pulled it off there, and here's what I did wrong. These fittings, let me get a new one, I'll show you. They only, I don't know if I'm just going to focus on this or not, they only go down there so far. Yes, it's an open hole, but there's a shoulder down there that stops that tubing from going too far down. It's actually a different size coming into out. So when you put these fittings on here, mind you, you have a small compression coupler. That's all this basic setup is, and you've got the nut that goes down there, and when you put this on there and screw this down, it crushes that down and then holds that as a compression fitting and does not leak. And they actually work really well. You don't need any sealant or whatever. You wouldn't think they work, but they do. Copper is very soft, but copper cannot be crushed in this direction. And what I did was I put the fitting together first. I'll show you what I did. I have a few pieces left here, and I'm sorry about it being dark and light. Here is the little compression. So I stuck, so basically here you are with this. I stuck this on top. Now it's probably, I'm trying to do this one-handed, it's not going to work. Let me put you on the tripod for just a second. And of course it's backwards. Sorry about it moving around. Me and tripods too. Okay, so let me put this together here. All right, so basically you have the end that's screwed into the block or wherever, whatever. You've got your little, the compression part goes on top, and the nut goes on top of that, and then you usually start it like just maybe a turn or two, and that's it. Doesn't fall apart, but you got your fitting in there. So you take your tubing or copper, whatever it is you're using, which, like I said, I used plastic before, but copper to me is a little bit better. So then you stick your copper in there and you tighten this down. Well, my mistake was I put that copper down in there and made it bottom out. And then when I started tightening that down, well, the copper's pretty, it's, like I said, it's soft on the side. So that grabbed it and tightened that up pretty quick and would not allow that to slide. So when I was tightening this nut, now the copper can no longer go down. It cannot push past that. So as I pushed this down, it didn't have any place to go, and it stripped these little brass threads off of this fitting, and it was done. The fitting was trash. So FYI, don't push them down all the way and then try to tighten them up. The plastic might give, the nylon ones may give enough to not do that, but the copper does not. So do not do that. Put it in. Matter of fact, it's probably a better idea to actually put the nut on and your little piece where your little ferrule or whatever they call them, that little collapsible piece. You might stick that in there where you want it, and then put the other piece on top and screw it down, and or at least don't let it go past too far past the bottom of that fitting, because this is what this has actually slowed me way down, because you have to buy the entire setup again just to buy the fittings, and I did not have it. However, I dug around at home, and when I did that copper, the gauge itself had already had a plastic, the nylon with it, so I actually had a whole nother set of fittings. So I drug them over here today, and I'm going to do this right. Now, cutting this copper I've never done before. I'm afraid if I cut it with like a pair of dikes or sidebar or whatever, I'm going to end up crushing it. I don't know if I can get it back open again, so I'm trying to figure out a way to not do that. I think what I'll end up doing is actually sticking a drill bit up there and then using some type of a knife or something to just wall around it and see if I can keep that round. The drill bit won't let it collapse and stay that way. But anyway, this is what I'm working on. I can't start the motor without this on here. I could plug it, but I'm not going to because I really want the gauge to work. And once you get everything on there, you saw how tight that was. Now imagine you've got a big, huge HEI distributor sitting there, and I'm not sure what you're seeing. Maybe I better back up so you can see, if I can see what you're saying. All right. So you got your intake, which is just sitting here. I can take this off to get to that because, like I said, you got to put a fitting in. It's got Teflon tape, and then you got a fitting that you got to mess with to make sure it's right. If you've got your intake on there, you've got that HEI distributor on there, you've got a Holley on there, and then you've got your fenders and the hood. It only opens to an angle about like this. You cannot get to that proper and make that not, you will destroy it or not get it tight enough or have a leak that you can't find or whatever. So keep that in mind. I'm doing it now because I thought, oh, this will be simple. I'll just throw this on here and this will fix all, you know, issues that I won't have to deal with in the future. And well, yeah, guess what? Still got to deal with it in the future. Anyway, I'm going to do another video of this thing put together and start up, first start up, because I'm going to check it for missing. And I think I may have already covered part of this. Maybe I have not. I actually did a video of me taking the top end apart, but I was in the view most of the time, and I think I've already done an update on it. I'll check and let you know before I put the other video up. But anyway, guys, I'm going to get off here, so talk to you later.